How Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live, brought to you by freekeen.com. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, December 1st, 2016. Silver is trading at $16.42 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,171 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 1.3 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $774. Antiwar.com reports the Obama administration has massively expanded FBI surveillance and hacking powers with a change to Rule 41 of Federal Criminal Procedure, a move which Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon called one of the biggest in years and which several senators attempted unsuccessfully to block. The change effectively eliminates the concept of jurisdiction for judges granting warrants to the FBI to carry out hacking or surveillance operations. Historically, judges could only approve search warrants in their court's actual jurisdiction. Starting Thursday, the FBI can use a warrant from any judge to go after computers anywhere on the planet on the theory that technology allows people to conceal the information on where those computers are physically located, inconveniencing the FBI. The change came after some embarrassing cases in which judges threw out evidence the FBI collected in hacking and other surveillance because the FBI had exceeded the jurisdiction of their warrants. The Department of Justice shrugged off criticism of the massive expansion of power, insisting that the benefits to the FBI would far outweigh any potential unintended harm caused by the FBI abusing all that power. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the Veteran Stand for Standing Rock group said it plans to gather up 2,000 veterans starting Sunday to help protect Dakota Access Pipeline protesters. The group defines itself as a nonviolent demonstration to defend protesters from what it describes as abusive and humiliating tactics committed by a militarized police force. Veterans Stand for Standing Rock, which capped the capacity of the event at 2,000 veterans, has called on veterans joining the protest to bring body armor, gas mask, earplugs, and shooting mufflers due to the possible use of sound cannons by police. The group asked veterans not to bring drugs, alcohol, or weapons. The group wrote on Facebook, "We're doing this to support our country, so let's do it with honor, working together. We can stop this savage injustice being committed right here at home. If not us, who? If not now, when?" North Dakota Governor Jack Dalrymple this week signed an emergency evacuation order to clear Dakota Access Pipeline protesters from land claimed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports a divided U.S. Supreme Court struggled on Wednesday with how to resolve a dispute over whether immigrants detained by the U.S. government for more than 6 months while deportation proceedings take place should be able to seek their release. The case takes on additional importance with the expectation that President-elect Donald Trump will ramp up immigration enforcement, placing more people in detention while awaiting deportation when he takes office on January 20th. During a 1-hour argument, the court's 4 liberal justices appeared to support requiring that immigrants held for more than 6 months be automatically eligible for hearings in which they could argue for their freedom while their deportation cases unfold. Conservative justices were skeptical. The shorthanded court could be headed towards another 4-4 deadlock divided along ideological lines. A 4-4 split would leave in place an October 2015 ruling by the San Francisco-based Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that upheld a lower court injunction requiring a hearing after 6 months of detention. The justices potentially could issue a narrow decision sending the case back to lower courts without resolving the matter, matter on whether hearings are required. The Obama administration asked the justices to decide the case. The lead plaintiff is Alejandro Rodriguez, a legal immigrant from Mexico who was working as a dental assistant when he was detained for 3 years without a hearing. Although he was released eventually, the case brought on his behalf continued. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Following today's press conference in which NASA announced its continuing search for a planet capable of supporting NASA, researcher Dr. Kenneth Heiser sat down with Onion reporters to detail their ongoing mission to find a NASA habitable planet.
Our objective is to find a planet capable of nurturing not just life, but also a sustained interest in the exploration of the cosmos. Such a planet would need to have water and proximity to light and heat, but also life forms with even the vaguest understanding of the importance of astronomical exploration. Ultimately, this would need to be a planet with organisms that have a genuine interest in expanding the limits of their knowledge.
Heiser added that any planet capable of supporting NASA would need to be able to generate a steady stream of financing to meet the agency's $18 billion annual budget.
The important thing is we just need to be patient. There's a limitless number of planets in the universe, and eventually we'll find one with the resources to support our work. We just have to, right?
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. And of course, you can call in with what's on your mind, but we'll give you those phone numbers here in just a moment. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we, I believe, should be joined by Jesse Ventura, but apparently I'm not seeing him, board op, I'm not seeing Jesse in my call screening software. Can you pull Jesse up for me? And I don't know what is going on there, but Jesse Ventura, obviously former governor of Minnesota, recently wrote a book, Jesse's Marijuana Manifesto, and we should be having Jesse here, but again, I'm not...
I'm on the line.
Here we go. Thank you very much, Mr. Ventura, for joining. Or should I call you Governor, Mr. Ventura, Jesse? How do you want to be addressed?
Well, if you want to use formal protocol, I guess Fidel Castro called me that. Vladimir Putin called me. They all call me Governor.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Actually, protocol has it that you're always the governor, you're just not the current one. The same as if you were President Clinton. You're always the president, you're just not the current one.
Certainly. And again, thanks for coming on the show. Can you tell us what your motivation was for writing this book? We know that you've written several books, but what was your motivation for writing this one?
Well, because because cannabis gave me my life back, I guess is the best way, my quality of life back. It wasn't me personally, but someone very close to me about 5 years ago developed epileptic seizure disorder. And if you've ever dealt with seizures, even if you're the person dealing with them, your life has ended because you're helpless, you can't do anything, you can only comfort the person, hope that they come out of the seizure. And, you know, it's horrifying. And the person went on 4 different pharmaceutical drugs at one, then the next, then the next, then the next. None of them worked. They all had horrible side effects. In desperation, we went to Colorado. And we got what they call medical marijuana, which was 3 drops under the tongue, liquid 3 times a day, which we now can get in Minnesota in a pill form, although what costs $30 a month in Colorado costs $600 in Minnesota. That's part of what you face.
Thanks, FDA.
But amazingly, the seizures stopped. The person's completely weaned off all pharmaceutical drugs and continues to use the medical marijuana and has not had a seizure now in over 2 years.
Now, that pill form, is that Marinol or is that something else that they're taking?
No, Marinol is what That's what the corporate industry wants to create synthetically. No, this is marijuana, but it's not the THC marijuana. It's the other stuff.
CBD.
Three letters with it. I can't OM something or other. I'm not an expert on that. Cannabinoid.
Yeah, I think you mean the CBDs, which are the other active ingredient of the cannabis.
But the point is, as my friend Tommy Chong told me, there should be no difference between recreational and medical, because the people that smoke it for the euphoric feeling are doing it for mental health. And I'd rather have somebody smoke a joint than take Prozac.
Absolutely. Now, the book calls for ending the war on drugs, but you also say that it calls for ending marijuana prohibition. Do you see those as one and the same, or are those two distinct things for you?
Well, they're two things, but we need to end the whole war on drugs. I mean, when you look at it's Nixon started it in '73 to fill the void when Vietnam ended, so we needed to go to war again. And it's been a failure. It's caused the militarization of our police forces. It's caused this thought process of shoot first, ask questions later to permeate through all police forces, not just the drug people. And you look at our police today, they look like the military.
Sure.
They don't look like cops anymore.
Yeah, the small town.
Right out of the war on drugs.
The small town where we're broadcasting this show, Keene, New Hampshire, 25,000 people when college is in session, and Keene Police has a ballistic engineered armored response counterattack truck, lovingly referred to as a Bearcat.
It's astounding, and it's all a result of the war on drugs, because it's created this thought too of shoot first, ask questions later, because we cite in the book multiple cases where the DEA goes in on a drug bust. They break into a home in the middle of the night, someone resists, they shoot him dead, and then find out later they have the wrong address.
Right.
Nobody goes to jail. Nobody gets tried. I guess they just classify it collateral damage in war.
Jesse, this is Chris, and first of all, I'd like to mention that I grew up watching Don Owens and Bull Ramos and Dutch Savage and Jimmy Snuka.
You're dating yourself now.
I know.
He is the oldest host on the show.
Am I really?
That makes me older than him.
Yeah, but you were a great heel. I just wanted to throw that out there. I sympathize with everything you're saying, but how do you turn a ship around? I mean, we're talking the Titanic. This thing has been going in the same direction since the days of Nixon, as you correctly point out. How do we steer that around in a reasonable amount of time? I mean, that's always been my concern.
It's already happening. It's called education.
I agree.
It's called breaking these lies that they've told us in history. One of the unique things about doing this book was the research. When I found out that marijuana was the economic backbone of this country for its first 100 years of existence. They don't tell you that in history books, do they? They don't tell you that if George Washington and Thomas Jefferson were alive today, they'd be raided by the DEA and they'd be doing 10 to 12 years in the federal penitentiary for being major drug dealers. Now, does anyone else find that picture as strange as I do?
Yeah, well,
I think a lot of us do.
Well, one thing that I find very interesting, and this is not something that I learned in a government-run education center, is that just over 100 years ago, you could purchase not only cannabis, but also heroin and cocaine and your hypodermic needles from the Sears and Roebuck catalog.
Well, that's news to me. I haven't gone that far to know that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
So,
and the thing is, we need to start treating this like adults, not like children. You know, are there going to be casualties through legalization? Of course there will. But look at the casualties you're having now as a result of prohibition. My mother lived through the prohibition of alcohol, and she's a World War II vet, a nurse in North Africa. And she told me before she passed on, she said the war on drugs is identical to the prohibition of alcohol. All you're doing is making criminals rich and powerful.
Yeah, and I do remember learning in a government education center the failures of alcohol prohibition, but for some weird reason, those same facilities don't teach about the failures of the war on drugs that now has wound up costing over $1 trillion over the last 45 years.
Well, Nixon had a very specific reason for the war on drugs. I mean, he was trying to
those damn hippies.
Yeah, it was the hippies and the blacks, and that's who they were going after. So it just amazes me that we are still debating something that we proved doesn't work 40, 50, 60 years ago. It's insanity.
Yeah,
It truly is. They always use that. The definition of insanity is doing things over and over and expecting a different result. And it is. You're completely correct when you look at it, because I'm 65 now. And the thing that's really weird to me, I'm seeing things now repeated within decades, not even within lifetimes.
Right.
Yeah. Governor, hold on with us for one more segment if you can. There's definitely more that we want to cover on here, including the possibility of how to tax cannabis and various legalization aspects of cannabis and other things as well. This is Free Talk Live, online at freetalklive.com.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-959-5928. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible, without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-959-5928. That's 1-800-959-5928. 1-800-959-5928.
Back pain doesn't take vacations. It never celebrates holidays. It's on the job 24/7 to keep your life exactly where it is, in limbo. But it doesn't have to be that way, because Laser Spine Institute can help you take back your life from chronic neck and back pain. With a less than 1-inch incision, our minimally invasive procedures have provided relief to over 60,000 patients with a 97% patient satisfaction rate. So get ready to stand tall and live the life you've imagined for yourself without pain. Are you or a loved one suffering from a bulging disc, herniated disc, spinal stenosis, pinched nerve, or degenerative disc disease? Call our spine care consultants now at
855-519-BACK.
for a no-cost MRI review and to learn more. It's time to say goodbye to chronic neck and back pain.
Call 855-519-BACK now to see if laser spine surgery is right for you. That's 855-519-BACK.
What have you got to lose? Laser Spine Institute, the leader in minimally invasive spine surgery.
Are you making sense to the boomer mindset? I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. 80 million baby boomers comprise 25% of the population and control most of the USA's wealth. As aging parents pass on, they'll control more. Boomers are 46 to 65 years old and regard themselves as midlife. They identify as neither young nor old. They're post-minivan and pre-retirement, and they don't like being called boomers. They think me. Many of the purchases boomer couples make are individual purposes. They've been experimenters all their lives. If you want their attention, tell stories and keep it simple. If something seems complicated, boomers can dismiss it as, I don't need this. And if you're looking for work, you may be applying to a boomer, so relate accordingly. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is $9 lower at $1,165 per ounce. Silver is 10 cents lower at $16.46 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $751 US. Robertson Roberts Brokerage has been helping clients buy and sell gold and silver for nearly 40 years. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Normally, we would be giving you the call-in line right now, but we have a special guest. We are joined by Governor Jesse Ventura. The we in studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
Chris.
And Governor, you recently published a book, Jesse Ventura's Marijuana Manifesto, explaining, why we need to end the war on drugs, specifically, the war on this plant called cannabis, commonly referred to as marijuana. And you mentioned that legalization will create jobs, bring in tax dollars, and rejuvenate our pathetic economy. Now, the way I personally look at legalization, and I love the word that I think it was Human Rights Watch came up with recently, depenalization, to remove all criminal penalties. So what are your thoughts on that versus a tax and regulate scheme?
Well, I think that they're both fine, but when you want to look at it, look at Wall Street just printed a week ago, I think, or 10 days ago on Colorado. 18,000 new jobs strictly because of the change of marijuana policy. And the total impact monetarily on the entire state with all the jobs beyond just the selling of the marijuana, $2.4 billion.
That's huge. That is huge.
That's massive. Now, Donald Trump, president-elect, talked about jobs. That's the main thing he sold himself for to become elected. All he needs to do is legalize marijuana federally, and the jobs will roll in, and he'll look like the Messiah.
Now, Jesse, I have a question for you. This is Heather. Back in 2001, Portugal had obviously decriminalized all drugs, and I believe it was Glenn Greenwald that had done a presentation at the Cato Institute on this and spoke about it, saying that the only reason Portugal didn't push for full legalization was because of the fact that international treaties had kind of intimidated it to just push forward with the decriminalization. So what are your thoughts on these treaties, and how much of a pull does the United States have on this issue?
Well, I can't speak to treaty level, but I can tell you this. I live in Mexico in the winter off the grid for 4 months out of the year, and I drive it every year, and down in the Baja. And they have military checkpoints you have to drive through in Mexico. When you're heading south, they just wave you through. They don't even talk to you. When you're heading towards the United States, you'll get stopped and searched 6 times the length of the Baja. And that's all because of the war on drugs. So you can see the carryover that our policies here have to a completely other country. Yeah. When you're heading south, they don't care. When you're heading north, they don't pat you down, but they go through your vehicle at all these stops. So that's an on-the-ground observation that I've made personally. And I think that, whatever a country's policy is on drugs should be this place of that country, and international should have nothing to do with it.
Very true. I agree.
Agreed. One other question, Governor. I don't know if you've read it yet, and I haven't. I've only seen excerpts, but Obama had done an interview with Rolling Stone magazine saying that while he didn't really do it while he was in office as a private citizen, he feels compelled to move forward and support legalization of marijuana. Would you consider working with our soon-to-be ex-president on something like that?
Would love to. I just wish he'd have did it when he had the power.
Right? Exactly. As I'm sitting here banging my head on.
Goodness. He could have done so much when he was lame duck. When he had, absolutely, I would, because I admitted when I ran for governor in '99, it came up in and I said, sure, I've smoked pot. Well, the minute I did that, it became a non-issue.
Right.
Nobody brought it up anymore. Nobody cared at all. In fact, I talked about legalization of that and prostitution and was told I blew the election. Well, no, I didn't. I won the election because I'm willing to talk about real problems with real solutions and look at them in an adult fashion instead of this knee-jerk. I call it it's crazy. The definition of insane is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yeah, and one thing that definitely, in my opinion, helped you win that election in 1998 is the fact that you were included in the debates. Had Minnesota Public Television and the other entities that put on debates excluded you because you didn't meet some arbitrary threshold, chances are your polling numbers would not have gone from like the low to mid-teens to, what was it, 38% that you won with?
No, it actually went from 9% to 37 in 60 days.
That's absolutely insane.
It was a technical mistake made by the Democrats. The Democrats, Hubert Humphreys, they felt I would take, because of my conservative on government, that I would take votes from the Republican. So they stated they would not debate unless I was included. And it turned out to be the opposite. Humphrey was polling 46%, Coleman was at about 32%, and I was down at 9%. In 60 days, I had 37%. Coleman had 34, and Humphrey fell to 28.
Now, do you think that you will ever get back into American politics?
I don't know. I had the opportunity that the Libertarians offered me the chance. They invited me twice to their convention, but I ended up declining because when you do that, I do it to win, and you have to be all in. And I couldn't reach 100% because if you're not all in, you're cheating yourself and you're cheating the people that would vote for you. And I couldn't reach that threshold at this point. I'll tell you this, if I would have been 10 years younger, I probably would have did it.
Well, I think it would have been interesting to have debated you during the primary season.
I would destroy them in the debates.
I definitely, and Heather Heather was there for a couple.
Do you want to know why I would?
Yeah, go ahead.
People laugh. Donald Trump knows. He knows he can never out-debate a pro wrestler.
And speaking of that, Governor, one final question, or might have time for one more after this. Okay. If Vince McMahon called you up and said, Jesse, we'll give you one more match, WrestleMania, the opponent of your choice, who do you step into the ring with?
Meaning, of course, it's totally not a real situation. You're not going to really ask me to get back in the ring, right?
No, I don't think that this is going to happen. This is a purely hypothetical.
A hypothetical? Who would I like to have my match with?
Yeah.
Probably Hogan, because I never got to wrestle him because I got the blood clots and it sidelined me for about a year. And I lost my chance to go against him.
And that's when they put you on commentary?
Well, yeah, I came back and wrestled, but I lost my, they cycle you through.
Right.
That's how it works with the champion. And when I got injured, I lost my cycle, and so then I fell into the the broadcasting, but I still wrestled. I actually did both for about another year and a half, and then I realized I was making as much or more money talking as wrestling, so I ended my wrestling career and just continued with the broadcasting career.
Governor, thank you very much for coming on. We won't keep any more of your time. Where can people find the book, or when does it come out?
Oh, it's already out. You can find it. That ain't my job. I don't know. You can get it where you get any book. You can get it on the internet where you get all your books. I leave that.
Adam Pileski of the Pileski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas, is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Did you know your car can be hacked just like your computer or phone? Hackers can hijack the signal of your own key fob to burglarize your vehicle in seconds. The Black Hole Faraday key fob bag is a signal impenetrable shield that stops these hacks in their tracks. Protect one of your most valuable assets. Go to hackproofbag.com. That's hackproofbag.com and use promo code RADIO to get 20% off. Or call 805-222-4584. 805-222-4584.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
Sunfest is on the line in California.
Yeah, the greatest danger is that they're destroying the sun and the earth.
Whoa. Slow down, Sunfest. Slow down. Who is destroying the sun?
The economy. Everything that's happening is a job hunt. It's a job tax.
What are you talking about?
Definitely. The sun is waning, the water is rising, and we need the sun to dry it. When you have an economy that's creating jobs on a war scale, 24 hours a day, the cosmos can't keep up with it, let alone the sun. There's dark Andromeda, which is hurling at us. If you're not informed, you can go out and get the information.
That's our name tonight.
Stop your sexist attack on women, whereas you don't hear anything
You
that
are
the men
so
have to say.
outrageous. Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu. 641-793-9660.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can call in, bring up whatever is on your mind. That's how we do here on Free Talk Live. And in studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
Chris.
And we've got some interesting stories to get into, including the Internet Archive apparently getting a national security letter. But before we get into that, I want to make sure that I tell you about Omaha Steaks. Are you struggling to find the perfect gift for someone that has it all? Well, how about the gift of food? Because really, everybody needs to eat, right? So right now, Omaha Steaks is giving an exclusive just to my listeners. Listen to everything that you get for less than $50. 2 filet mignons, 2 top sirloins, 2 boneless pork chops, 4 boneless chicken breast, 4 kielbasa sausages, 4 hamburgers, a 12-ounce package of all beef meatballs, 4 potatoes au gratin, 4 caramel apple tartlets, plus 1 Omaha Steak seasoning packet, plus you get 4 additional kielbasa sausages absolutely free. Go to omahasteaks.com, enter my code FTL, as in Free Talk Live. That's omahasteaks.com, code FTL in the search bar. Add the family gift pack to your cart and get a 77% savings. It's the gift guaranteed to be a hit. I've eaten some of this. Ian has eaten some of this. It's absolutely amazing. I think I had the top sirloin, and I cooked it, and it was just so yummy. The burger had one of the burgers with a little bit of cheese and some A1. Oh, absolutely amazing. You definitely want to get this. Again, omahasteaks.com, enter code FTL, add the family gift packet to your cart, and get a 77% savings.
I was just laughing because Colleen's mom, we talked to her before Christmas, and she's like, I don't know what to get you guys. Should I just do the same?
Omahasteaks.com, code FTL.
Should I just do the same Omaha Steaks again? We're like, yes. No question. Yes, that's fine. Perfect. Thank you.
No vegetarians up in here.
Not at all.
Well, they do have potatoes au gratin and apple tartlets, and those are both vegetarian friendly.
So there's options for everybody.
Yes. Obviously, there's no vegetarian steak, unfortunately. But I think science is working on that, right? The lab-grown steak.
You can call the Omaha Tofu Company, and I think they can ship that right out.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a thing yet. But the Internet Archive, you've heard of this before, right, Chris?
Sure. They sort of log and keep track of all the happens on the World Wide Web, and they've been doing it for years and years and years
and
years.
Right, and they're probably best known for the Wayback Machine, where you can go through and look at previous versions of websites. And I was actually doing that with the Free Talk Live website, where you can go and look at what the site looked like 14 years ago. Actually, 13 years and 364 days ago, because the first recorded snapshot on the Wayback Machine is actually December 3rd of 2012.
Wow.
But I was looking through, and you can see when the logo changed in late October of 2009, I think it was, 2010, somewhere around there. But the Internet Archive apparently got a national security letter that includes misinformation about how to contest the accompanying gag order that demanded total secrecy about the request. We've spoken about these national security letters previously. These are things that some federal agent somewhere writes up and gives to somebody, and it says it's a felony to speak of this to anybody. Probably the most famous story about a national security letter is one that Judge Andrew Napolitano shares a good bit, where it was a librarian that was handed one of these by an FBI agent, and she asked another librarian that was working there, hey, do you know anything about this? And she was arrested immediately on the spot for violating the provisions of the national security letter that say that you're not allowed to speak of it to anyone.
It's kind of like Fight Club.
No, it's worse than Fight Club. Because at least in Fight Club, you join on your own volition. It's not somebody, you're now a member of Fight Club and you can't tell anybody. Ha, ha, ha.
Right. And these things are out of control. I mean, they're being used. This is what happens, folks, when you start off by giving up a little bit of your liberty and a little bit of your freedom for what you feel is a good reason, be it a war on terror or protecting the children or whatever it may be. You give government an inch, and they're going to take more and more and more and more. And there's a whole bunch of stories out right now that all come back to national security letters and new ways that the FBI can hack into your computer legally.
Right. Rule 41.
Right.
The change took effect today, and we'll probably get to that at some point tonight. But back to the story from the EFF, that's the Electronic Frontier Foundation. They say, as a result of the archive's challenge to the letter, the FBI has agreed to send clarifications about the law to potentially thousands of communications provided who have received NSLs in the last year and a half. The national security letter issued to the archive said the library had the right to, quote, make an annual challenge to the non-disclosure requirement. But in 2015, Congress updated the law to allow for more than one request per year so that a communications provider could speak out about the experience without unneeded delay. Represented by the EFF, the archive informed the FBI that it did not have the information the agency was seeking and pointed out the legal error. The FBI agreed to drop the gag order in the case and allowed the publication of the national security letter. So this is absolutely unprecedented that the FBI would allow publication of one of these national security letters.
Yeah. It like we were saying, Fight Club, it cannot be disclosed. No one can know that you've received it. If you let it out, then you're in more trouble than you were before.
So I wonder if the FBI agent's name is Robert Paulson. His name is Robert Paulson. His name is Robert Paulson. Brewster Kell, the founder and digital librarian of the Internet Archive, says the free flow of information is at the heart of the Internet Archive's work, but by using national security letters in conjunction with unconstitutional gag orders, the FBI is trying to keep us all in the dark. Here, it's even worse that secrecy helped conceal that the FBI was giving all national security letter recipients bad information about their rights. So we especially wanted to make this national security letter public to give libraries and other institutions more information and help them protect their users from any improper FBI request. The archive received the letter in August, more than a year after Congress changed the law to allow more gag order challenges. In its letter removing the gag order, the FBI acknowledged that it issued other national security letters that included the error and stated that it will inform all recipients about the mistake. Now, here's something that's kind of interesting as I see it. If I accidentally, and I'm using air quotes there, if I accidentally give a government agent bad information, what happens to me?
Do not pass go. Go directly to jail.
Do you think they'll let me say, oops, I'm sorry, and I accidentally gave this bad information to 1,000 different government agents, so let me just make a copy of this letter saying I made a mistake and send it to everybody, no harm, no foul? But that's what's happening here.
Sure.
FBI makes a mistake, possibly ruining the lives of thousands of people.
Right.
And they say, no harm, no foul. Our bad. Sorry.
This is the part that's just, it's impossible to defend, and I don't know where apologists come from to support these actions. If it's illegal for you to do, yet government is allowed to do it, that should give you a clue that there's a problem here. And we come across these things every day in our lives, yet we just are at the point where we just say, well, that's just the way it is. Sorry.
Right, and almost everything that's legal for government people to do is illegal for us to do.
Yeah. And
855-450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
You want disruption? You got disruption. Cell 411, the world's most disruptive and empowering app, knows you want ride sharing with payment options for cash, Bitcoin, silver and barter, as well as credit cards. And they know you want more than promises. Cell 411 delivers. The same great emergency management app, now with ride sharing. Freedom to travel is a right. You don't need big business telling you how to do it and taking fees. Go to the App Store now and download Cell 411 and get riding.
Winter has just begun, and are you already tired of being cold? How would you like to never be cold again? This is Dale with Fortress Clothing, and I'm here to tell you, you will never be cold again with Fortress. If you're tired of freezing your butt off, elk hunting, sitting in a tree stand, deer hunting, winter camping, fishing, ice fishing, no longer fear the cold. If you snowmobile, ski, snowboard, get Fortress. Sledding with the kids, shoveling the walks, shopping, or if you or your spouse get cold feet at home, get Fortress. If you're stuck outside working in the cold or find yourself in an emergency situation, get our winter bug out bag and you will never be cold again. Fortress is the answer, so quit complaining and go to fortressclothing.com. It's a mid-layer garment that goes with anything you want to wear. Enter coupon code RADIO and get 20% off any item. Go now while we still have inventory. fortressclothing.com.
Would odors, mold, and mildew describe your basement or crawl space? It doesn't have to be that way. Transform them into a fresh, healthy, usable one with the technologically advanced Wave Moisture Control Units. The computerized operation maximizes moisture control and also expels harmful radon, combustion gases, and numerous other pollutants. Dehumidifiers are old technology that do nothing for air quality and waste energy. Wave units are intelligent, self-monitoring, do not need maintenance, and will save you hundreds in electricity. Wave units are still running effectively over 15 years. They've been tested and installed in public and military housing and by property managers nationwide. Buy a unit now, and if your home is not fresher and drier, you can return it for a full refund for up to 12 months. What have you got to lose? Call now. 1-888-618-WAVE. 1-888-618-WAVE. Or visit mydryhome.com. That's mydryhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the Internet Archive getting a national security letter because apparently the FBI thought that they had some information that they didn't have. But the really interesting part here is that the national security letter had some bogus information. We'll get back into that, but I've got something that is definitely not bogus information, and that would be about the official Bitcoin wallet of Free Talk Live, the Jax wallet, JAXX. You can get it at jax.io or in the App Store of your choice. There's no wallet like it. This thing holds Bitcoin, Ether, DAO, Dash, and more currencies coming soon. There's also Shapeshift integration that allows for frictionless, easy exchange between currencies. It was created by Anthony DiOrio, who's actually a Free Talk Live listener and creator of CryptoKit. Jaxx is easy to back up and recover, and they're striving to actually give you command over your digital life. Coins, contracts, currencies, identity, and more. Your digital command center in the palm of your hand. Jaxx, the official wallet of Free Talk Live. JAXX.io. Oh, yeah, and this thing is cross-platform, so you can use it on your cell phone, on your tablet, on your computer, laptop, etc. Jaxx.io, JAXX.io. Back to the story from EFF about the Internet Archive getting a national security letter with some bogus information. Apparently, the FBI says that they have corrected the bad information and sent those out, or sent the correct information to the people that got national security letters over the last 18 months. EFF says, given that the FBI has said that it issued about 13,000 national security letters last year alone.
Wow.
Thousands of communications providers likely received the false information and potentially delayed petitioning the court for the right to go public. EFF staff attorney Andrew Crocker says the opaque national security letter process, including the lack of an oversight by a court, makes it very vulnerable to errors of law. Add to that the routine use of gags and enforced secrecy, and those errors become more difficult to find and correct.
Hold on. I'm sorry, Darryl. I thought you said something about lack of oversight by a court. That doesn't jive with what I was taught about how our legal system works. I mean, everything's overseen
Checks and balances.
Thank you. Don't we have some? No.
So there's oversight, air quotes there, where the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court will review, again, air quotes there, some of these petitions. I believe the national security letters can actually be written by the agent without going to the FISA court.
I believe you are absolutely right on that.
But the FISA court is there to review certain things, and the number of warrant requests that they've rejected, I think, can be counted on one hand, definitely on one hand and one foot.
Yeah, it was definitely single digits percentage-wise. But, yeah, it is. It's a rubber stamp. And that's what's wrong.
Yeah.
It just shouldn't be that way.
EFF attorney Crocker says, we're grateful to the Internet Archive for standing up to the FBI and shining some light on this error. We hope that others who received the correction will also step forward to have their gags lifted and shine more light on these unconstitutional data collection tools. This is the second national security letter that the Internet Archive has published after battling with the FBI.
Bravo.
In 2007, the archive received a national security letter that exceeded the FBI's authority to issue demands to libraries. And they actually have a link here in the EFF article that I believe takes you to a copy of that other national security letter. With the help from EFF and the American Civil Liberties Union, the FBI withdrew that letter and agreed to let the archive go public in May of 2008. But many gag orders are still in place. Yesterday, Credo Mobile confirmed that it was at the center of EFF's long-running fight against national security letters after a 3-year-old gag order was finally revoked. Along with Credo's case, EFF is litigating 2 other challenges to national security letter gag orders on behalf of the communications providers who are still being gagged. And they do have a link to where you can actually read the national security letter that was given to the Internet Archive.
It's just, it's insanity. I mean, and I think most people in America still do think that we are a nation of laws. You know,
we are a nation of laws, poorly written and randomly enforced, but we're a nation of laws.
You know what I mean? They still believe that for you to be investigated or be questioned, that there has to be a judge and evidence must be presented and there must be probable cause. But it's just not that way anymore. This is a land of secret courts, of warrantless searches, of guilty until proven innocent, and that It's turned everything we were taught on its head.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that too is, like the kind of stuff that they're promoting to like the younger generations. Like the cop is always the good guy. You see in these television shows and stuff like that. And a lot of it's like, I remember the first time I had my bad interaction with a police officer where I'm like, oh my God, you mean they're not all good?
Right.
So it's kind of that same mentality when you have like the FBI and these national security letters where a lot of people will automatically assume that it's for a legitimate cause, that it's doing good somehow, even if it's to the contrary.
Right. And I'm doing my part by following orders. I will follow the directives laid out here and I won't question them. Thank God.
Doing my job.
Yeah, well, and thank God people do challenge these things.
I think the other thing, too, is that we need to kind of like maybe push a little more towards like asking the people that are in these positions that are enforcing unjust laws and taking these letters to, really take some time to reflect and look at what you're doing and ask yourself, is it really, like, do you want to be known for that or do you want to live a principled life? And it's never too late to come around, as we've seen with Edward Snowden.
Right. And, not just the people that are issuing these national security letters, but even your local beat cop.
Mm-hmm,
if you wind up, get a ticket for, a parking ticket or whatever, don't take the plea. I think most of the hosts on this show are big advocates of, not taking the plea deal and going to trial. And there are times that you might be able to ask some of those questions. Yeah. If there's a professional prosecutor, then they'll definitely object. But if it's some local town to where the police officer is prosecuting his own case, you can get away with asking him almost anything when he's up on the stand.
So wasn't yesterday? Did you not take the plea and insist on a jury trial?
No. I actually had court this morning.
Oh, it was this morning. Okay.
And unfortunately, you cannot take a speeding ticket to a jury trial in New Hampshire.
Okay.
I have taken a seatbelt ticket to a jury trial in South Carolina where you can get a jury trial for anything.
Nice.
But, yeah, I did go to court this morning, 9:30, got there, and court started a little early. They had some other stuff going on. And so we sat through a case to where some guy was being charged with violating part of his lease because he didn't cut his grass. And I felt really bad for the guy.
Right.
Not because, he's here because he didn't cut his grass, but he was like, I don't understand how courts work or leases or anything.
Yeah.
I felt sorry for the guy, not for the situation that the guy was in. But then they had, a couple plea deals, and then they called me up, and the police officer that gave me the ticket was not there.
Aww.
So the prosecutor, this town or city actually has, a paid prosecutor. He says, Your Honor, the officer is not here. He's on family leave. He's been out all week. And I'm guessing that the defendant is now going to ask you to dismiss the case. And the judge said, Is that what you're going to motion? And I said, absolutely. I motion that you dismiss the case, which I had planned to do anyway since he wasn't there. But had I not known that, the prosecutor basically said, hey, you can motion to dismiss this. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Right.
And, yep. And, of course, I was wearing my Power Corrupts T-shirt into court.
Of course.
Yeah.
But just as easily, the prosecutor could have said, what you should do is you should ask, since the cop couldn't make it, maybe if you ask for an extension, you can have your day in court.
Nope. Motion to dismiss.
I know, but they
take what you can
they
get.
may do that,
Yeah, I actually, when he started saying, motion, I was like, is he going to motion for a continuance?
Right.
I will object.
Yeah.
But nope, got it tossed out and then wound up, had some Chinese for lunch.
Congratulations.
Celebratory Chinese food.
Celebratory Chinese food after court. This is Free Talk Live. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
If you had one day to teach someone economics, what would you say? We would say that innovation and prosperity requires economic freedom. Visit fee.org/courses and check out Economics in One Day, a crash course in free market economics that you can present to your community. For over 70 years, the Foundation for Economic Education has been a champion of liberty. Start today at no charge by visiting fee.org/courses and learn why economic freedom matters.
Do you need a website for your blog or new business? It can be pretty intimidating on your own, and that's why Free Talk Live has partnered with HostGator, one of the top hosting companies. HostGator offers a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress, 24/7 over the phone or live chat tech support, and a very intuitive, user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation back into your hands. Go to HostGator.com/FTL and you'll get 50% off of their regular hosting prices. 50% off. HostGator.com/FTL.
There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. coincap.io.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, December 1st, 2016. Silver is trading at $16.42 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,171 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 1.3 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $774. Antiwar.com reports the Obama administration has massively expanded FBI surveillance and hacking powers with a change to Rule 41 of Federal Criminal Procedure, a move which Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon called one of the biggest in years and which several senators attempted unsuccessfully to block. The change effectively eliminates the concept of jurisdiction for judges granting warrants to the FBI to carry out hacking or surveillance operations. Historically, judges could only approve search warrants in their court's actual jurisdiction. Starting Thursday, the FBI can use a warrant from any judge to go after computers anywhere on the planet on the theory that technology allows people to conceal the information on where those computers are physically located, inconveniencing the FBI. The change came after some embarrassing cases in which judges threw out evidence the FBI collected in hacking and other surveillance because the FBI had exceeded the jurisdiction of their warrants. The Department of Justice shrugged off criticism of the massive expansion of power, insisting that the benefits to the FBI would far outweigh any potential unintended harm caused by the FBI abusing all that power. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the Veteran Stand for Standing Rock group said it plans to gather up 2,000 veterans starting Sunday to help protect Dakota Access Pipeline protesters. The group defines itself as a nonviolent demonstration to defend protesters from what it describes as abusive and humiliating tactics committed by a militarized police force. Veteran Stand for Standing Rock, which capped the capacity of the event at 2,000 veterans, has called on veterans joining the protest to bring body armor, gas mask, earplugs, and shooting mufflers due to the possible use of sound cannons by police. The group asked veterans not to bring drugs, alcohol, or weapons. The group wrote on Facebook, "We're doing this to support our country, so let's do it with honor, working together. We can stop this savage injustice being committed right here at home. If not us, who? If not now, when?" North Dakota Governor Jack Dalrymple this week signed an emergency evacuation order to clear Dakota Access Pipeline protesters from land claimed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports a divided U.S. Supreme Court struggled on Wednesday with how to resolve a dispute over whether immigrants detained by the U.S. government for more than 6 months while deportation proceedings take place should be able to seek their release. The case takes on additional importance with the expectation that President-elect Donald Trump will ramp up immigration enforcement, placing more people in detention while awaiting deportation when he takes office on January 20th. During a 1-hour argument, the court's 4 liberal justices appeared to support requiring that immigrants held for more than 6 months be automatically eligible for hearings in which they could argue for their freedom while their deportation cases unfold. Conservative justices were skeptical. The shorthanded court could be headed towards another 4-4 deadlock divided along ideological lines. A 4-4 split would leave in place an October 2015 ruling by the San Francisco-based Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that upheld a lower court injunction requiring a hearing after 6 months of detention. The justices potentially could issue a narrow decision sending the case back to lower courts without resolving the matter on whether hearings are required. The Obama administration asked the justices to decide the case. The lead plaintiff is Alejandro Rodriguez, a legal immigrant from Mexico who was working as a dental assistant when he was detained for 3 years without a hearing. Although he was released eventually, the case brought on his behalf continued. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Following reports that local full-blown alcoholic Ken Matheson has such great friends that let him drink himself to death right before their eyes, the 32-year-old man spoke to reporters during a typical evening of binging with his closest friends.
Man, these guys are like brothers to me. I don't know what I'd do without them.
The chemically dependent man, who can reportedly always count on his friends to look the other way, facilitate belligerent behavior, and encourage his self-destructive impulses, informed reporters that the members of his tight-knit circle are, quote, the best buddies a guy could ask for.
Can you just shut the f*** up? Seriously. Just shut the f*** up. I lost back then. Keep going. What the f*** are you looking at? I love you, man. I love you.
Check this week's Onion Review for further developments.
I love you. Oh, God, I love everybody.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 2 in studio. It's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we just got done talking about this disturbing trend of national security letters, specifically the national security letter that was given to the Internet Archive by the FBI that apparently had some bad information about the gag order.
Whoops.
And the FBI said, sorry, no harm, no foul. We'll fix the letter and send it out to the thousands of people that we have provided these letters to over the last 18 months. But there's something else that's disturbing about what the FBI can do.
Disturbing is just the word of the day today. Disturbing.
And that took effect about 20 hours ago.
Yeah, midnight?
Yes.
12:01 a.m. or something like that.
Yep.
This story comes to us from Gizmodo. The FBI just got, you guessed it, disturbing new hacking powers. At midnight, the U.S. government quietly gained expansive new surveillance abilities after a last-ditch effort to stop changes to the Federal Code of Criminal Procedure died on the Senate floor. Senator Ron Wyden tried 3 times on Wednesday to stall the rule changes, which let judges give federal agents the authority to hack multiple computers in any jurisdiction at once, including those belonging to innocent malware victims.
Right, and the claim was, well, we need this because we don't always know where somebody is when they're doing something over the internet.
That's kind of something I've always thought about is when you have these criminal proceedings, how does one exactly prove criminal liability when it comes to like technology if you can't prove who was sitting in front of a computer at the time, the alleged computer was engaged in criminal activity? Like, how do you...
That's why they can hack your microphone and your camera on your computer.
But do you think like the average person is like tech savvy enough to where they could on a jury trial? Like,
no.
Well, this story is even worse than that. So, has anyone here at this table ever had a computer infected with malware?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everybody that's ever had a computer
has probably been infected with malware. And if we remember back a couple months ago, there was a big story about how a piece of malware had infected thousands of pieces of equipment, some computers, some on the Internet of Things like thermostats and things like that. And together they created this massive bot attack, the massive
DDoS attack,
a denial
on
of service.
Dyn.
Right, a denial of service right here on our home state, New Hampshire, Dyn Incorporated, which is one of the biggest DNS providers in the world.
So, and for people, I think that you might be,
I know I do that,
going over some heads on this.
Go ahead, Darryl.
So, no, explain what a DNS server is, because people have probably heard the term, but they don't necessarily know what that is or why they couldn't watch Netflix.
That's okay. So DNS, every website that you go to, if you go to www.freetalklive.com,
you don't need the W's.
Yeah, but that's not really the address of it. Its real address is a series of numbers or an IP address, Internet Protocol address. And DNS allows us to easily remember the address of a particular service we want to use. So we use DNS every day, even though most people don't know what it is. One of the largest providers of that service is here in New Hampshire, Dyn, D-Y-N Incorporated, and they were attacked. And the point of me bringing that up was this is sort of the justification that law enforcement has used asking for these new powers.
Well, this was only part of the justification, and I think it was actually sort of a post hoc justification because they had already wanted this new power anyway.
Oh, sure. But this gave them a real easy way to point to it and go.
The actual reason that they wanted this is because some of the warrants that were issued during their whole playpen investigation were thrown out because the judge said, hey, wait a second. This warrant was issued in the Eastern District of Virginia, and you were nabbing people in Washington and California and New Hampshire and all over the world. And, yeah, that judge didn't have jurisdiction to wind up issuing such a broad warrant. And the FBI was like, well, they're doing things on the Internet, so the Internet is in Virginia as much as it is everywhere else. So, therefore, warrant should stand.
Right. What I find particularly, I'll read a little bit more of this article too.
So they're already creating like digital borders.
Well, they just want there to be no borders as far as they're concerned. They should be able to use a warrant.
As far as the FBI is concerned.
Yes, as far as law enforcement goes. Wyden says, by sitting here and doing nothing, the Senate has given consent to this expansion of government hacking and surveillance. Law-abiding Americans are going to ask, what were you guys thinking when the FBI starts hacking victims of a botnet hack, or when a mass hack goes awry and breaks their device or an entire hospital system and puts lives at risk?
Here's the thing. The members of the U.S. Senate aren't thinking. They're not. So, Senator Wyden says people are going to ask, what were they thinking? And the answer is they weren't.
Right. And it gets scary because we rely so much on technology and it's so pervasive in our lives now, yet many of our legislators don't understand the technology and don't understand. When the FBI comes in and says, well, if you guys don't understand, it's okay because we'll bring in our own series of experts and they can explain all this to you.
And then they'll, say all of these big words and technical jargon, and the people on the committee are like, sure, okay, they have no clue what is being talked about.
They'll use some very small words, too. They'll use terrorism, which isn't a big word. They'll use child pornography.
Like trigger words.
Right.
Trigger words.
They'll use those trigger
reaction.
words, just like the government does with us. Different parts of the government can certainly do it with our legislators to, convince or coerce them into passing these sorts of laws. And it's just insane. What probable cause could be is nothing more than you receiving malware.
Right.
So if a bot attack, an automated attack that somebody, you open up the wrong email and you click on the wrong picture in an email and suddenly your machine is infected, if that is an attack that the FBI has listed as a botnet of interest or whatever they want to call it, then they can simply add you to their list of people that they can surveil legally.
Has anybody ever hacked a red light camera or a red light device itself?
Oh, yeah.
I wonder
Not
what
me
Sarah
but
thinks about that. She is actually calling in from New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Sarah. I guess we don't have Sarah. I'll put her on hold, and we'll try her back in a couple of minutes. The whole thing to where, you've got these people from the FBI telling senators bad, scary things will happen if you don't wind up expanding our power.
Yeah, and to continue, under the old version of Rule 41, agencies like the FBI needed to apply for a warrant in the right jurisdiction to hack a computer, presenting difficulties when investigating crimes involving suspects who have anonymized their locations or machines in multiple places. Under the new version, a federal judge can approve a single search warrant covering multiple computers, even if their owners are innocent or their locations are unknown.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that. How do you issue a warrant for multiple computers when you don't know the location or who is, the operator of the computer?
Well, now you're trying to get all constitutional or something on us, Darryl. That doesn't matter. What is important is terrorism and child pornography and any other reason we give you that says we have to do this.
Oh, you mean like the 24 child porn websites that the FBI ran?
No, that's a different thing. We're not going to talk about that.
Right, but the FBI, in order to, quote-unquote, catch the predators, operated child porn sites, 24 of them,
and distributed
for
tons of
several weeks, if not months.
It's the same way they put drugs on the streets in order to catch the big bad drug dealers.
855-450-FREE, your calls and thoughts. Welcome.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin, but imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com. You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. healthexcellenceselect.com. healthexcellenceselect.com.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
On the second Saturday of every month, the Texas Republic Congress meets in a joint session. To learn how you can attend or become a member of Congress, visit thetexasrepublic.com. And together, we can liberate Texas.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio, it's Darryl, Heather, and Chris. And I want to invite you to try my pillow. Well, not my personal pillow, but you could have a pillow just as good as mine. And Chris actually has a My Pillow as well.
For years.
And you can try a My Pillow risk-free for 60 days. This thing is amazing. It's designed to fit to the shape of your body, hold your neck in the proper position, which would be vertical, or rather horizontal. Vertical is the other way. You don't want that. You want it horizontal to the bed and the floor. I've been using it for several months. Chris has been using it for years, and I can absolutely say it's the best pillow I've ever had. And unlike a regular pillow that has collected a lot of dead skin and dirt over the years, you can toss My Pillow into a washing machine and not ruin My Pillow. It is still usable. Go to mypillow.com. Use code FTL, as in Free Talk Live, to get your My Pillow at half price or get a second pillow free of charge. Remember, if you don't like it in the first 60 days, you get your money back, and the pillow itself is guaranteed to last 10 years. MyPillow.com, code FTL. Let's try Sarah calling in from New Mexico one more time. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, I think I pressed some button. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we got you.
Oh, okay, yeah. The first time I was just trying to punch the buttons, and sometimes I did something wrong. I put the mute button or something.
You're good.
But yes, speaking of computer technology, I'm so excited that City of Albuquerque, we're going to be installing those computer signal lights that I talked about in Atlanta, Georgia, something close to it.
Hold on. Why is the City of Albuquerque installing lights in Atlanta, Georgia?
You misunderstood her, Darryl. Come on.
Computerized signal lights, the new ones that they, like the ones in. Yeah.
They're like traffic lights, computerized traffic lights.
Yeah, so what were these again? I vaguely remember you talking about these a while back, but it's been a long time, and if I don't remember, then other people listening to the show definitely have no clue. So what are these computerized lights?
And what's special about them?
Well, you know what? I'm trying to find out, but I'm assuming that it's like a smartphone, like a computerized, and it must talk to the satellites that analyze the intersections, like a GPS. You know how the computers could analyze all the cars and pedestrians and bicyclists that are going to be approaching.
So instead of changing on a timer, it kind of like senses the traffic and the cars around it.
Right, and most lights already have some kind of thing like that. I've noticed even here in Keene, New Hampshire, there's little things on top of the lights, and if there's no traffic coming one way and there's cars the other, it'll wind up changing. So how is the thing in Albuquerque going to be different than what already exists?
Well, like I said, it's computerized, and well, they have.
And the ones right now are what, using carrier pigeons?
No, that's got nothing to do with smartphone technology. They do nothing to do with computers. All they are is camera sensors. You know how the motion detectors? That's all it is. You know how you go in front of a motion detector, the light comes on? Well, that's a camera. So it changes the light when they see a car placed in there, and that's all it does.
Right, and there's a computer in there. There's not a tiny little man in there looking at the camera. There's not somebody in like a traffic control room looking at the camera and saying, "Oh, I need to change this light now." That is a computer. So my question is, what makes this new computer different from the other computer?
Well, I'm assuming, like I said, is that it analyzes the whole intersection. You know how that one, it only analyzes what's pointed there. But this situation, it analyzes all the traffic, pedestrians, bicyclists approaching in the intersection.
And who's going to be paying for this?
Well, it's going to be paid for by the city.
And the city of Albuquerque is getting the money how?
Well, from the tax coffers. I mean, where else? Like Atlanta. That's
right, so they're stealing money from people to build this computer grid thing that Sarah wants.
Now, that's a sort of unfair way to put it.
I know, they're not doing it because of Sarah, but Sarah's definitely advocating the thing. And I just want to point out, because Sarah's called in the last several nights to talk about communism and how she is a peaceful communist, that she would never herself point a gun at anybody else, but she's perfectly okay with government agents pointing guns at people to take their stuff. And I'm just trying to point out the violence inherent in the system to Sarah, because she does not seem to realize that there is violence inherent in the system.
So essentially what Darryl is saying, that Darryl doesn't necessarily oppose these little traffic pieces of computer.
If it's privately funded.
Exactly.
And I'm just curious what the difference is between this special computer and all the other computers that are on top of red lights.
I think what the idea is, based on what I read, because Sarah, you brought this up months ago when I was on, and the Atlanta system not only analyzes one intersection, but it communicates with other intersections.
Yeah.
So it manages flow. It's a really cool system. I get that. But what Darryl
is saying, if you like the little computers, it should essentially be your job to solicit donations from members of the community in order to fund them, and not do it through tax dollars that people don't have a choice of whether or not they can pay.
And
right,
worse,
Darryl?
yeah.
Am I right?
Most of our taxes get spent on war spending. I'd rather have it spent on
I agree with that.
The local sales tax, Sarah, the local sales tax collected in Albuquerque, New Mexico, is not paying to drop bombs on people. And I'm opposed to money being stolen from people to drop bombs on people as well.
We're in agreement on
when
that.
I say that taxes should not be used to put a little camera on top of your red light, that's not should not in any way be construed that Darryl supports stealing money from people to bomb brown children.
Yeah, and
I don't think she was saying that.
Why is this stealing money when it's supposed to move the traffic, reduce fatalities, and save people's lives and make the intersection safer? That is money well spent.
Well,
I think this is a very communist.
I would agree that would be money well spent if that's the case. I just think you need to solicit
Sarah,
the money.
If I come over to your house and I point a gun in your face and say, give me all of your money, I'm going to donate it to the homeless shelter, that would still be theft. It doesn't matter what good thing I do with the stolen money. It is still stolen money.
And that's the part where we're going to lose Sarah a little bit. But
right, because
Sarah,
she doesn't see it as stolen money.
Yeah.
She just sees the good things that happen, and any amount of good outweighs all of the negative that has to happen before the good is, done.
Right. So, Sarah, here's a question I have for you. Just a real quick one. But oftentimes when cities undertake these massive infrastructure programs, and this is undoubtedly a multi-million-dollar program, oftentimes they get subsidized with federal tax dollars. They get a government grant, a federal government grant, to help them pay for it. Should we here in New Hampshire have to pay for your traffic lights in Albuquerque?
Well, of course. You know what? If it's going to save lives and reduce accidents, don't you want that?
Wow. Sarah, thank you for the call. There's violence inherent in the system. You just don't see it.
If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season.
In these uncertain times, it makes sense to have a sustainable backup method to cook food and boil water. If your current plan includes using a fuel-burning stove or cooking over an open fire, then there's a much better way. The Minuteman Rocket Stove is a biomass-burning cooking stove that only requires small quantities of sticks and twigs for fuel. The Minuteman Stove is easy to use, smokeless, portable, powerful, and sustainable. For the finest in survival cooking stoves and fire starters made right here in the USA, go to MinutemanStove.com. That's MinutemanStove.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Has this election season gotten you excited about the Libertarian Party? Has it gotten you mad? Do you want to see more candidates like Gary Johnson? Or do you want to see hardline libertarians? Either way, you don't have to sit on the sidelines and complain. You can make a difference by getting involved. Free Talk Live has, believe it or not, negotiated a free membership for you in the Libertarian Party at lp.org/FTL. This is a limited time offer, so go sign up for your free membership now at lp.org/FTL. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at lrn.fm? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at lrn.fm. That's lrn.fm.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine. so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
$855 450 free. That is the toll-free call-in line where you can call in and bring up whatever is on your mind. You can talk about the traffic lights in your town, although, hopefully not. We've been talking about Rule 41. Chris, what is Rule 41? Is that the internet rule that says that if you can think of it, there's porn of it?
That's not quite it. Rule 41, and thank you. I didn't know we were going right back to this because I don't have Rule 41 pulled up.
So I've actually got it pulled up since you don't.
See how he is? He's so good to us.
Under the old version, as in
Aleppo?
As in what was in existence yesterday, agencies like the FBI needed to apply for a warrant in the proper jurisdiction in order to hack into your computer. Now, the FBI has changed Rule 41 so that they can get a warrant from any judge anywhere, meaning that basically they can go judge shopping of which judge signs off on every warrant that goes in front of him. Oh, this a-hole. Let's go there. And then they go to that judge and they can get a search warrant to cover, quote, multiple computers, even if the owners are innocent and their locations are unknown.
Key phrase, even if the owners are innocent, we can still search your computer.
And if we have no clue where you are, we can still search your computer, and we don't have to worry about that pesky jurisdiction thing.
Yeah, it's harsh, and it also brings up the question of, to me, and it talks about a little bit in this article, about the FBI's network investigation and investigative tools, or NITs, which they use. And
I've got a nit to pick on that because they use this thing that they call a network investigative tool that they have then sort of exempted from prosecutorial discoveries, so that if you're the subject of one of these investigations and they use the NIT on you and you say, all right, give me discovery, which means show me the evidence that you have against me and the tools that you use to wind up getting said evidence. They say, yeah, we don't have to tell you the magic trick that we did, but haha, we've got your nose.
Right. But a network investigative tool is a piece of code that is designed to surreptitiously enter your computer and report back to a different location what it finds.
Oh, so malware.
So malware. U.S. government created malware, but they will never refer to it as that. Everybody else's malware is just malware. If the FBI does it, it's a network investigative tool.
That's why I like that Gizmodo is actually using the word hack here to describe what the FBI is doing, because that's what they're doing. The FBI is hacking into your computer if they want to.
And listen,
and you have no way of knowing if they're doing it.
Yeah, and if we were having an argument about, some horrible serial killer is loose and the FBI has found out, what computers he uses, so they are going to, get their special FBI computer squad to put some secret spyware in there and to do that, and they got a judge to sign off on it. I personally don't think I'd be raving about this. If you got,
isn't that like what your Second Amendment is for? I mean, somebody's on the loose that you're afraid of. It's not the FBI, and they're like, their phony laws or investigation and hacking that's going to protect you. It's going to be the gun lying next to your bed.
Well, sure, but in this example, at least they would be pretending to follow along with the protections we have under the Fourth Amendment. They would be following due process.
Right, and what was it? Right about a year ago, there was the incident with the shooters in San Bernardino, and the FBI screwed around and locked up the iPhone, and then the FBI went to Apple and said, hey, can you undo this? And they're like, nope, you guys goofed it up. We can't undo what you did. But had the FBI, installed some kind of malware on the phone, I don't think anybody would have raised an eyebrow about that.
Right. It would have been but unfortunately they didn't know exactly who these people were. Somehow, despite the trillions of dollars we spent on this, they didn't identify that these people have been radicalized, allegedly radicalized, and were about to commit this crime. What was worse about that case was then the FBI takes, or the federal government, I'm not sure if it was the FBI, takes Apple to court and says, we will compel you to break your own operating system.
It was the FBI, and Apple said, we don't have anything that can crack this, and they said, well, create it.
Right. Then
and only use it on this particular phone. Well, that's not the way.
I remember that.
That's not the way decryption stuff works. If you can decrypt one phone, you can decrypt every phone that runs that operating system.
And they said, well, okay, we're good with that. If we can just open any phone after that, that's okay. But then they did some backpedaling, and then, as it turns out, the FBI contracted with some nefarious folks, probably, who were able to hack the iPhone. And we don't know what the results of that exploit were.
Right, and they never actually said what the exploit was, but one of the funniest things that I saw showed a picture, or it was a cartoon, where the FBI agent handed the phone to a 5-year-old kid and was like, don't do anything with this phone. And then 30 seconds later, good, you got in the phone.
Right. And I think another aspect of this that scares the heck out of me, and I'm a former computer guy. I used to do this stuff for a living. I worked in security and in other areas. But when you enter a computer to do something remotely, you have to enable certain things in the computer to allow you to do that.
Yes.
And is the FBI and its suite of tools always going to set things back the way they were, or do they accidentally leave something wide open?
Oops, we accidentally left the back door open for everybody to go in.
And now, you're being hit by identity thieves and hackers and things like that because the FBI has accidentally created vulnerabilities in your system.
Or intentionally created vulnerabilities.
But you're not going to know if the FBI opens your door to your computer in the first place, right?
Well, we hope not, but there are people out there that run very, very sophisticated network monitoring systems and things like that may notice something's amiss. They may not know exactly what it is, but I'll wager that these things are going to start popping up where people are talking about, I'm getting some really suspicious activity. That happens today.
We'll continue this discussion about Rule 41, but to the phones, we've got Doug calling in from Illinois. Doug, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, hi. Pretty much I wanted to bring up an elected official in the federal government, Joe Manchin of Virginia. Have you heard about him?
I know he's a U.S. senator, but I don't think I've heard anything recently.
He actually quoted out from Twitter here, quote, "But you do it in front of me, I'm going to beat the hell out of you," unquote, regarding burning the American flag in front of him. We got a real issue in our country where here we have an elected official threatening battery upon people for doing what can be within their right to do. You're talking about Rule 41 here. I wish that people were only 1/4 the outraged about our freedom and our liberty being trampled year after year like they are about a cloth with coloring on it. You have got to give me a break. Unbelievable. I can't believe how dumb people are.
Well, I'm surprised that President-elect Donald Trump would tweet out that he thinks anybody burning a flag should either go to jail for a year or have their citizenship revoked. And the reason I say that I'm baffled by that, not only has the U.S. Supreme Court ruled a couple of times that burning a flag is protected speech, but that's what the Boy Scouts of America do every year with flags that are no longer used.
Right.
The proper way to get rid of a flag is to burn it.
Yeah.
The guy here, Joe Manchin, he should be in jail. He should be charged with making a threat. He put it out over the internet. Look, if you or I make a threat on an elected official or anybody were to do it, we would go to jail. We'd be charged with making a threat.
Absolutely. Doug, hold your thought, Doug. We'll bring you back on 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-945-1063. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-945-1063. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-945-1063. That's 1-800-945-1063.
We all know that Berkey Water Purification Systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey Water Filtration Systems. The Berkey Light Systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light System today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at goberkey.com. That's goberkey.com today.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Ross Ulbricht was sentenced to life in prison for operating the Silk Road. That's not the end of the story. Ross is trying to get out, but he needs your help. The free Rossathon is happening Sunday, December 4th from 2 to 10 p.m. Eastern, featuring Roger Ver, Cody Wilson, Doug Casey, Tom Woods, and dozens of equally seditious speakers. Go to freeross.org right now and register for this free event. It's a fundraiser for Ross's appeal, so prepare to be inspired. freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back to your calls here in just a second. But have you wanted to start your own blog or website, but you haven't been able to put your idea into action? Well, you're in luck, because HostGator, one of the top hosting companies out there, is offering a special deal to Free Talk Live listeners. Go to HostGator.com/FTL, and you will get 50% off their regular prices. Now, that's 50% off whatever the initial purchase is. When you renew at the end of, let's say you buy 2 years of hosting, at the end of that 2 years, when you renew, you will have to renew at full price, but you don't have to renew for the same length of time. So it makes sense to buy more because you will save more. Hosting your own website or blog can be intimidating, but HostGator makes it easy. They offer a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress, and they have 24/7 over-the-phone or live chat tech support, and are very intuitive and have a user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation and the simplicity of use into the hands of you, the customer. HostGator has a 99.99% uptime rating, so you don't have to worry about outages. To get the special offer of 50% off for Free Talk Live listeners, go to HostGator.com/FTL. Back to the phones. We've got Doug in Illinois. And Doug, you were talking about flag burning, specifically a tweet by Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, where he threatened to beat up anyone that he saw burning a flag.
I find it ironic that here you have people doing within their right, burning the flag. And here you have a guy advocating breaking the law and threatening people for the fact that he don't like it. You know, all you people who are worshiping the flag, you know, if you put 1/4 of your effort into defending liberty and freedom, we might not be having all the trouble that we're having here. You know, you're more worried about a cloth with coloring on it. You know, you're talking about Rule 41 here. You know, the federal government, what they can do too, they can do what they get involved with your computer, where you have what they call a netbot attack.
Right.
Where you have more than one client infected with malware or hacked, and you don't even know it. And here you're not only going to be a victim of the hack or the hacker or the malware.
Right.
Now you're going to be a victim of the federal government coming in, and you don't even know it.
Sure.
You know, I mean, and the government, when they get in there, they get into your computer. Oh well, here we're dealing with the libertarian, anti-government, might not be what we like, and therefore maybe we can find a law to charge him with. You know. Anybody can be charged with anything. They have enough law out there to be able to charge you. If you think that you're not breaking the law, you're not paying attention.
5 felonies a day. Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. But I do think that, you know, you sound very frustrated because why don't these people get it? Why don't they understand it? And I'm going to give you my best answer to that. I think a lot of friends, and I tend to roam in more conservative circles, and I'm active in a lot of veterans groups and things like that. People find the flag synonymous with patriotism and synonymous with love of country, and that's why they find it despicable. Right. And I can't speak for Manchin, and that just tells me that I need to continue to try to educate.
I come from a military family, though, too.
Yeah.
But being a patriot, when you're blinded by right and wrong by being a patriot, you know, then, okay, the people of Cuba and North Korea are patriotic to their flag and to their country, too. Are they right? Are they living in what we want to be in? No, they're not.
I'll tell you.
You're talking about a cloth with coloring on it.
I get where you're coming from.
The freedom and the liberty. Freedom and the liberty can be the main issue.
Here's what I got to say. Thank you, Senator Manchin, because this gives us one more opportunity to have discussions with people who may not agree with us about misguided patriotism and does this are we really to the point where we're going to deny people what they consider speech? That person who is doing it is making a statement. The Supreme Court has come in and said, yes, we completely agree with you. Now, for example, a lot of people on the right, you know, they're going to be all about the rulings by the Supreme Court that they liked. I mean, look at Heller versus D.C. You know, the Second Amendment is absolutely a personal right, and you cannot take that away. Well, if you're okay with that decision, then you're not okay with this one. You're okay with the ones that agree with you, but not the ones that don't. So to me, these are opportunities.
That can be the whole issue with the country, though, pinning left and right. You know what I mean? You have people that are, okay, well, you know, you're either in favor of that and you're on the left, or you're not in favor of that and you're on the right. You know what I mean? And you have you put people into a category where...
Well, I'm a libertarian.
People are, right, I'm a libertarian too, but people are not... The majority of people are not able to objectionably think.
Yeah, but you know,
independently.
Here's my thoughts on the thing. Okay, so obviously you're very upset that, you know, this guy said that he would physically harm somebody if they burn the American flag. And if you've taken enough psychology courses like I have, you realize that the best solution is nonviolent forms of communication. So I made a Facebook post about this the other day where I'm like, you know, I can empathize with everybody on either side. Like, one, I don't think that the government, which represents the people that the flag represents, is necessarily doing good. So therefore, I wouldn't, you know, worship the flag. But you asked me the same question 5 or 6 years ago, and I grew up in a military family. I was the person championing to do the Pledge of Allegiance in schools. I have a 7-year-old daughter now, and I wouldn't recommend she would do the pledge. So it's kind of like, you know, my perspective has shifted because I went down like a progressive path of knowledge that led me to this. And it was, you have to kind of, you are the patriot essentially, because you realize the crimes that are being done in the name of that flag that he is so passionate about. So you are now burdened with the task of passing that information along. And by doing so, I would recommend nonviolent forms of communication.
Go ahead, Doug.
I look at the pledge and like the flag being, particularly for children, being where you don't even know. I mean, I look at it being like
brainwash,
propaganda and indoctrination.
Absolutely.
Propaganda and indoctrination. And you know, my issue that I'm really angry about, not only the guy here, but here again, you have a guy, Democrat, but more leaning toward the right. But you have people on the left like Hillary Clinton who are clearly breaking the law, and they're not held accountable. We're watching a pattern here. You know, if you're in the government or you're in the clique, you can't do no wrong. But if you're the average, everyday going guy, you're living in a totalitarian government where anything that you do wrong, you can be charged with a crime with.
Well, we can't talk about republic or democracy or have that debate when we truly do, I believe, live in an oligarchy. There is a ruling class in this country, and most of them are not elected officials. Some of them are. But you have them and you have the plebs, and that's the rest of it, and that's all there is to it.
Doug, thanks.
I think it was
for
Princeton
the call.
that released a report. Princeton University actually released something that stated that the United States political system is an oligarchy based on the 1% and how, you know, the voting has kind of.
Yeah. It's like George Carlin says, it's a big club and you ain't in it. And it's the same club that they use to beat you over the head and tell you what to do.
Yeah, and you're right. It was a Princeton study, and there was another university involved in it too. But it was them trying to take an objective look at the American political system and say, where are we now? And I think it's very accurate. I think you really have to have your head in the sand to think that it's anything but that.
Well, I think, didn't they take like a close look at all of the big votes, the big controversial votes, and they looked at where the money was going, and the vote always ended up in favor of where the money was going.
Go figure. Who would have thought
I don't
that
think
would happen?
always, but yeah, it's
a very
definitely
high percentage.
Some would say a disproportionate number of votes wind up going in favor of whoever or whatever side winds up spending the most money. And one thing that has annoyed me about, and I think it's basically just Americans that buy into this whole duality sort of thing of it's either Coke or Pepsi. What do you mean? You're like RC Cola? No, Coke and Pepsi.
You either love the flag or you hate it.
We can only process one of two choices.
But in Europe and other so-called democracies where they have like 5, 6, 7 political parties in their parliament,
right?
People don't buy into the whole it's either A or B. What do you mean you're a libertarian? You must be supporting the candidate that I don't like that's a major party.
Yeah, and if you
because my brain doesn't process that there's more than 2 options.
Right. And if you want to talk about some maybe inherent problems with the way our country was founded, our system of government favors a two-party system. It would be natural for our country to evolve into that sort of system of two different parties.
Right, and that problem, as I see it, was created because of the 12th Amendment. And that's a topic for another time. Hour 3 coming up next. Your calls and thoughts. Welcome, 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
Do you need a website for your blog or new business? It can be pretty intimidating on your own, and that's why Free Talk Live has partnered with HostGator, one of the top hosting companies. HostGator offers a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress, 24/7 over-the-phone or live chat tech support, and a very intuitive, user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation back into your hands. Go to HostGator.com/FTL, and you'll get 50% off of their regular hosting prices. 50% off. HostGator.com/FTL.
A funny thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Modern advertisers have been trained to look for trackability in their advertising, and web search ads are great for that. They also help you get the consumer that's looking for products like yours in the moment. But they're expensive, and they do nothing to convince people to try your product segment in the first place. If you're a local advertiser, contact this station. If you can use national exposure, Free Talk Live's on more than 150 stations, and we can help advertisers with little budgets and big ones. Send me an email, mark@freetalklive.com. It's mark@freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is $9 lower at $1,165 per ounce. Silver is 10 cents lower at $16.46 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $751 US. Robertson Roberts Brokerage has been helping clients buy and sell gold and silver for nearly 40 years. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, December 1st, 2016. Silver is trading at $16.42 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,171 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 1.3 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $774. Antiwar.com reports the Obama administration has massively expanded FBI surveillance and hacking powers with a change to Rule 41 of Federal Criminal Procedure, a move which Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon called one of the biggest in years and which several senators attempted unsuccessfully to block. The change effectively eliminates the concept of jurisdiction for judges granting warrants to the FBI to carry out hacking or surveillance operations. Historically, judges could only approve search warrants in their court's actual jurisdiction. Starting Thursday, the FBI can use a warrant from any judge to go after computers anywhere on the planet on the theory that technology allows people to conceal the information on where those computers are physically located, inconveniencing the FBI. The change came after some embarrassing cases in which judges threw out evidence the FBI collected in hacking and other surveillance because the FBI had exceeded the jurisdiction of their warrants. The Department of Justice shrugged off criticism of the massive expansion of power, insisting that the benefits to the FBI would far outweigh any potential unintended harm caused by the FBI abusing all that power. For nearly 40 years, Robertson Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the Veteran Stand for Standing Rock group said it plans to gather up 2,000 veterans starting Sunday to help protect Dakota Access Pipeline protesters. The group defines itself as a nonviolent demonstration to defend protesters from what it describes as abusive and humiliating tactics committed by a militarized police force. Veteran Stand for Standing Rock, which capped the capacity of the event at 2,000 veterans, has called on veterans joining the protest to bring body armor, gas mask, earplugs, and shooting mufflers due to the possible use of sound cannons by police. The group asked veterans not to bring drugs, alcohol, or weapons. The group wrote on Facebook, "We're doing this to support our country, so let's do it with honor, working together. We can stop this savage injustice being committed right here at home. If not us, who? If not now, when?" North Dakota Governor Jack Dalrymple this week signed an emergency evacuation order to clear Dakota Access Pipeline protesters from land claimed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
Reuters reports a divided U.S. Supreme Court struggled on Wednesday with how to resolve a dispute over whether immigrants detained by the U.S. government for more than 6 months while deportation proceedings take place should be able to seek their release. The case takes on additional importance with the expectation that President-elect Donald Trump will ramp up immigration enforcement, placing more people in detention while awaiting deportation when he takes office on January 20th. During a one-hour argument, the court's 4 liberal justices appeared to support requiring that immigrants held for more than 6 months be automatically eligible for hearings in which they could argue for their freedom while their deportation cases unfold. Conservative justices were skeptical. The short-handed court could be headed towards another 4-4 deadlock divided along ideological lines. A 4-4 split would leave in place an October 2015 ruling by the San Francisco-based Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that upheld a lower court injunction requiring a hearing after 6 months of detention. The justices potentially could issue a narrow decision sending the case back to lower courts without resolving the matter on whether hearings are required. The Obama administration asked the justices to decide the case. The lead plaintiff is Alejandro Rodriguez, a legal immigrant from Mexico who was working as a dental assistant when he was detained for 3 years without a hearing. Although he was released eventually, the case brought on his behalf continued. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Saying that he has no idea what to make of the mixed signals, area man Pete Summers told reporters today he keeps getting ambiguous text messages from local woman Haley Mueller, claiming that she's not at all interested in him.
One minute she's like, I don't want to go out with you. And then she'll mention how she has to go hang out with her boyfriend. I mean, what am I supposed to do with that?
Summers, who first met Mueller at a friend's party last month, informed reporters that the 27-year-old's increasingly perplexing text messages have left him unable to ascertain whether or not she would want to date him. He also noted that Mueller's behavior at social gatherings was equally vague.
Last weekend, we were at a party, and every time I would go up to her, she just said, "Leave me alone." Then I text her the next day, and she totally doesn't even respond. I mean, she just needs to make up her mind and tell me what she wants. She hasn't answered my last 3 phone calls, so maybe I should go over there and make sure everything's okay.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 3. In studio, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we've been talking about Rule 41. And this is something, it's been a, I don't know if it's a federal court rule or an FBI rule, but it's been in place for a while, and it just got changed. And when we say it just got changed, we mean within like 21 hours. Like it from the time that we're broadcasting this live, it has only been in place for about 21 hours.
Yep, effective midnight last night.
And Chris, what again is this new Rule 41?
Well, what it basically says is that the FBI can go to a judge. They don't even have to, I guess they do go to a judge, and the judge can sign a warrant for them to investigate computers regardless of location. So before, the FBI would have to specify a specific jurisdiction that they want, and they would have to get a judge in that jurisdiction to do so. Now they can get a judge who can basically grant a warrant that will let them investigate computers regardless of location, so literally worldwide.
So jurisdiction means absolutely nothing anymore when it comes to FBI investigation of computer quote-unquote crimes.
Crimes and basically activity, and you know, it opens so many cans of worms. So, you know, there's this thing called, you know, you can't use the fruit of the poisonous tree.
Yes.
Meaning that if I have a search warrant that says I'm going to go search Darryl's home for eggs and I find bananas, I can't charge him with possession of bananas because I didn't specify bananas in the search warrant.
And also, bananas are not contraband.
Yeah, I'm just using euphemisms for whatever one might.
Should have used tomatoes. Don't you listen to any of his speeches?
I know.
Now, if you would have said raw milk.
Okay, I could have got a bunch of different.
Now,
directions.
say that the reason that I was not going to pick a net on eggs is because there could be these were not FDA or USDA approved eggs because you bought these from a raw chicken farmer
or my next door neighbor, where I usually get my eggs.
Yeah.
A
raw chicken farmer.
Yeah, it's insane. So I can't stress this enough. If you listening have ever been the victim of malware on your computer, you are now subject to search of your computer by the FBI. This is going to be one example they will use. Well, we were investigating a botnet attack that may have started in Russia and may involve identity theft, or this piece of malware that's on your computer may be used in a denial of service attack against
and it might
the
not
Pentagon.
Might not even be your computer. It might be your toaster.
Right. It can be any device.
And I still do not understand. And people have tried to explain to me why I need my toaster connected to the internet, but I do not understand it.
Dude, I like a nice fresh piece of toast. And if I'm 5 minutes away from home, if I'm 5 minutes away from home and I want to have fresh toast just popped up, I could send a signal over the internet to my toaster.
If I cannot run BitTorrent or Netflix on it, I don't need it connected to the internet.
It's crazy. And I work out on my elliptical not as often as I should at home, but the damn thing's got an IP address. It's connected to the internet. So I can download stuff to it and make it pretend like I'm doing a cycle of the Pacific Northwest woods. It'll do that.
You know what else you could do? You could plug in a USB drive into it and get the stuff that way. It doesn't need to be connected to the internet.
Well, now we're in the era of the Internet of Things, where everything is going to become internet-enabled.
The Internet of Things to be hacked.
That's what it has become, and that's
do you know what the S in IoT stands for? Safety. Security. And there's no S in IoT.
There is nice. There is it's a selling feature, but the problem is a lot of the hardware that we use in the Internet of Things for random things like toasters and washers and dryers and your refrigerator and things like that are not built on the highest. Security is not a real high point. They want usability. So we're seeing all sorts of components that are coming out of China that have back doors. They have very little security on them and things like that. So, and that was the example that we were talking about.
Some of them have front doors and wide open windows.
Now, come on in. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So,
like my understanding, the point of the IoT refrigerator is that the smart fridge will notice that you're low on, fill in the blank food stuff, and then place an order online either through Amazon or with your local grocer.
Yeah.
Because, we live in New Hampshire, and grocery stores tend to be regional, but there's a chain up here called Hannaford, and they've got this thing called Hannaford To Go, to where you can place an order online and tell them when you're going to get to the store, and they will have your groceries already picked for you.
Yep.
And all you have to do is go in.
I mean, it's like someone that hates food shopping. I don't really mind
You're
that
kind of
one.
getting this one. I'm kind of liking it. Hey,
Like,
it
really?
is-
I can do that?
It is a convenience, and I think for some people it's going to be a benefit, but that's a personal. You can disagree with it, but some people are going to like it, and some people are going to buy a smart fridge.
Here's the thing. So what happens when you forget that, or rather you wind up, you get laid off and you've got a million things going on and you forget to change the settings on your smart fridge and it's automatically reordering food, and then you wind up getting an overdraft on your bank account because you lost your job and your damn refrigerator wound up ordering stuff that you didn't want to order.
Well, it's not only that, but now we're sort of in this cycle. We had a big change from where we used to buy things outright to where things are more subscription based, and the internet brought a lot of those things. So we have Netflix and we have Hulu and we have, all these services that we pay for on a regular basis, and it's just sort of auto deducted.
Microsoft Office 365, you don't buy anymore, you have a subscription.
Yeah, and I'm an Office 365 subscriber with my business because it made financial sense for me to do that. But yeah, you bring up a good point. It makes life changes more challenging when you have to think about this. You change one piece of info, you get a new debit card, and you've used that same debit card for 20 auto pays at, various things you subscribe to online. It's a real big deal. So
Why do you think I've had the same telephone number for a decade?
Yeah, but I don't think people even have the same debit card very long these days because of the credit cards being compromised is like an epidemic right now.
It's a couple years.
I've been
mine
using...
is literally on block right now because it was compromised.
I've been using the same credit union for almost a decade, just changing everything over. It's so much easier for me to just find a service center, go in and say shared branching, and then they connect into my credit union that's 2,000 miles away.
So when I was younger, I would say, we had classes in high school where we talked about how to balance checkbooks and these basic life skills that you had to go through. I think the needs of today's generations coming up are going to be very, very, very different. It's change, and we're not going to stop it. You're not going to arrest it. It's going to continue. It's going to accelerate, and I think it's that much more important that particularly younger people and older people just continue to educate them. The thing that's going to be consistent is change, and that's it.
Yeah, well, what's the saying? The only thing that change is the only thing that stays the same.
Yeah, and that's the reality. And you can like it, you can hate it, but it's part of where we've gotten to and where we're going.
Yeah, so if you're a baby boomer and you have kids and grandkids, I'd be really nice to them because we run circles around you guys.
Let's go to Charlie calling in from Arizona, listening to K-Talks 1340. Charlie, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hi, guys. This problem with the probable cause actually started over a decade ago. I watched an interview with an Army, it was actually a press conference with an Army colonel, and he was...
Hold that thought, Charlie. Hold that thought. We'll bring you back. 855-450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
Think you're fat? You might just be bloated. Find out by calling now for a free trial of New Biotics, the new breakthrough that flattens bloated bellies fast. For a free trial, call 1-800-967-9298. Strict limit of one per household.
I used to be plagued by potbelly and constant bloating. After taking New Biotics, my belly flattened and continues to get flatter. My sense of bloating and discomfort is gone.
If you've got a big belly, you might not be fat. You might just be bloated. New Biotics is scientifically formulated with natural ingredients to flatten bloated bellies fast by cleansing pounds of rotting food and toxic sludge from your body. It even combats periodic heartburn and acid reflux. If your belly flattening results are too dramatic, simply reduce use to every other day. Think you might be bloated? See how much flatter New Biotics makes your belly. But hurry, call now for details while we're still giving it away for free. 1-800-967-9298. That's 1-800-967-9298. 1-800-967-9298.
Are you feeling embarrassed or stuck because you can't focus or concentrate? I have a confession to make. I spent years unable to think clearly, like I was in a fog. I was going through the motions, running my companies, and I hated feeling mentally sluggish. I couldn't get ahead like this. It's no secret. The powers that be want us dumbed down. Chemicals, fluoride. Our brains are under siege, and we are experiencing lower IQs. But now there is a weapon to fight back and win. Introducing DNA Evolve, a revolutionary breakthrough in a category of cognitive enhancers called nootropics. I've been using DNA Evolve and couldn't feel better. For me, it works. It feels great to get things done again and get ahead. Try a free sample for yourself at DNAEvolvesample.com. That's DNAEvolvesample.com. Supplies are limited, so go to DNAEvolvesample.com right now.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl, Heather, and Chris. And healthcare is all messed up.
No.
We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Sure, health insurance pays for treating your sickness, but it gives you nothing for being healthy. Doesn't that actually incentivize illness instead of health? Well, there is a free market healthcare company that can give you freedom from health insurance. HealthExcellenceSelect.com. They give you a proactive health assessment daily and no-charge 24-hour access to doctors. HIPAA has messed up medical records so much that one doctor doesn't know what the other doctors are doing. How about a medical information card that you can give to EMS, first responders, emergency room, or whatever other medical professional you want? Check them out right now, HealthExcellenceSelect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You will love the service and the prices. HealthExcellenceSelect.com. Let's go back to Charlie in Arizona listening to K-Talks 1340. Charlie, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Charlie.
As I was stating, I watched a press conference with an Army colonel that was trying to sell the Patriot Act. and he was positing that a reasonable cause was the same. There was a smart reporter in there that pointed out the actual fact that it says it had to be probable cause. Now, I can illustrate this so anybody can understand it. A person walking down the road with a can of gas may be going to commit arson, but he also may be going to put gas in his car. Now, if he's going down the street with a gas can and it has a rag in the top and he's carrying a lighter, that's probable cause.
Agreed.
Yeah, so there's a big difference there. And but of course he used Weasley double talk and then shining the guy on. But I think they're still operating under that premise. And as far as Sarah's concerned, I don't need Santa's elf sitting on top of a stoplight anywhere. Governor Ventura mentioned the fact that there are risks in freedom, and I'm perfectly willing to accept that. I pay a monthly premium in case I get killed, that I don't burden anybody else with barbecuing me afterwards. If you're not self-aware enough to take care of yourself, I don't want nanny state to hold my hand. But the main point was probable as opposed to reasonable, and they're operating on this reasonable theory.
Right.
And I just gave you the illustration, which I think anybody can understand. But thank you so much for your time, and you have a great week.
Thank you very much, Charlie. And, I think a lot of police officers don't even operate on the reasonable suspicion. They operate on, well, this is a very small possibility, so therefore submit.
It depends on what their incentives are, and that's a real problem I have with the war on drugs. Is it incentivizes, I'll say a loose reading of the law. If you're going to make more money, if your department's going to make more money, if you're going to get more frequent raises because you increase the number of marijuana arrests in your area, then yeah, you're incentivized to. I smelled the aroma of marijuana as I was walking by the car, and it's just going to keep going and going and going. We've got to address the root issues.
And a lot of times it's not even that. It's we've got this dog, and the dog spoke to me. The dog gave emotion.
The dog whispered
over here.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there have been tests that have shown that 95. I think it was 95% of the time, the dog is going to signal whether there's something there or not.
Or they can manipulate the dog by certain actions, and you can train him to bark at a car by giving him a biscuit when he barks at a car. It's that simple.
But Pavlov's dog.
Yeah, and and he salivates. No, I'm not. I don't want to imply that every law enforcement officer, and this is where I may differ with some people that may be on the show, but not every law enforcement officer out there buys into this or does these things or tries to manipulate things. But
I think it was actually Gloucester Police Department in Massachusetts that took a stand, and they actually refused to arrest people for drug use.
And
they started putting them into treatment, and like the chief of police there had started speaking out about it, saying that we need to look at these people as members of our community and not throw them in cages and look down upon them because they have this addiction. And
that's a great program.
Set the precedent. And I think there was an initiative like Police Against Arresting.
Well, there is LEAP. There's LEAP. There's the Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. And the problem that I see with organizations like this is there's not a lot of active law enforcement that are involved because they know that the system is set up to weed out the quote unquote good law enforcement agents.
Yeah. And that's it with or it's a black mark if you're associated with them. And I've been active in Oath Keepers for many years, and Oath Keepers does not have a lot of active duty law enforcement. We have some,
right?
But many realize that if that makes it back to command, then there's a problem.
I can't tell you how many stories I've read about police officers that have crossed that thin blue line and reported officers for doing stuff that they know is either against department policy or just outright illegal, and then it's the officer that winds up making the report that is the one that gets reprimanded.
Oh, absolutely.
They're the one that winds up getting put on permanent desk duty. They're the one that gets targeted by all of the police when they're off duty of, oh, it's a shame you're driving around with that broken tail light. Whack.
And that's my biggest, and I get this a lot, you guys are focusing on the few bad apples and things like that. It's like, well,
the full statement is a few bad apples spoils the bunch.
I don't disagree. Yeah, exactly. But my point is okay, where are all these good apples that should be doing something about the bad apple?
They're the ones getting
Police
put
yourselves.
on permanent desk duty for crossing the thin blue line. They're the ones that are being harassed into quitting the police department because they're not wanting to go along with all of this stuff.
Right. But where does all this stuff come from? It comes from, if we go back at it, it's like, okay, we're being pressured to make arrests that may violate a person's constitutional rights. Okay, why are we doing that? To meet the quotas that we have. Where are the quotas coming from? Well, they're tied to a government grant that's tied to the war on drugs.
They're not quotas. You need to have a department. We need to make sure that everybody's in line with the departmental average. But it's not a quota because quotas are illegal.
It's just a goal.
Yeah, it's a goal, and
that nonprofit is called the Police Assisted Addiction and Recovery Initiative. Just in case anybody wants to look it up.
855-450 free. That's the toll free line. This is Free Talk Live.
Don't know what contaminants are lurking in your water?
Hey, David, want to check your connection?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I've got you loud and clear. I'll bring you on when we come back from break.
Cool, thank you.
All right, thanks.
The EPA says the air in our homes is up to 5 times more contaminated than outside air. The solution is not just to filter your air, but detox it. UVforlife.com now offers a doctor-recommended UVforlife.com sterilization unit to kill over 99% of viruses, bacteria, molds, and dangerous chemicals. Go to UVforlife.com. Add promo code GCN at checkout to save $100. That's UV4life.com. UVforlife.com. Don't just filter your air, detox it.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Teens radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers, and some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to agoristhosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's AGORIST hosting.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of brown rust stains on your toilets, sinks, and clothes? Does your water smell and taste bad? Don't live with these problems anymore. HydroCare's revolutionary well water systems, available at Wave Home Solutions, gives you clean, healthy, great-tasting water from every faucet. They remove iron, hydrogen sulfide, sediment, and many other contaminants that are distasteful and damaging your fixtures. You'll be amazed how fresh and clean well water can be. Satisfaction guaranteed. Go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And ride sharing just went totally free market with Cell 411. Uber and Lyft have never allowed their drivers the freedom to choose their own rates and payment methods like silver or Bitcoin, but Cell 411 does. That means competition among drivers for rates. Plus, there's no barriers to entry for drivers, no background checks, no insurance requirements. Don't worry, there is a driver and rider rating system in place in order to ensure good behavior. And also, Cell 411 lets you, the rider, pick your driver. Whereas with Uber and Lyft, you put out, I need a ride, and then they tell you your driver is, Sarah, or your driver is Chris. And you don't get a say of, well, no, I'd rather have Sarah than Chris. Or I'd rather have Chris than Sarah.
But Sarah will stop at all the traffic lights.
But
I might run a few.
With Cell 411, you put out, I want a ride, and then drivers wind up competing to get the ride, and then you pick from the drivers that wind up responding. And if you're too scared for free market ride sharing, then stick with the mega corporations. But if you're ready to save money as a rider or have the freedom to run your own business as a driver, then Cell 411 is for you. Plus, Cell 411 already has an installed user base of potential drivers because it has long been the best app for decentralized emergency alerts since its creation last year in 2015. Download it from getcell411.com or go to the App Store of your choice, Google or Apple apps. Cell 411, that's CELL 4111. Getcell411.com. We go to Skype where we've got David calling in from New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, yeah, let me try to tie my points in with your points from today's and other days' conversation. First of all, amusing note: Sarah has been on the local radio here in Albuquerque for like 8 years, and when I first heard her in the beginning, I was doing a lot of movie work, background extra, stand-in, whatever. And
were
so
you
my
in
mind
Breaking Bad by chance?
Yeah, I'm in Breaking Bad. I'm in the pilot. You can see me in Walt's living room at his party.
No way.
There's two guys. Yeah, way.
Oh, we're so
you can
checking
throw
that
the disc in right now, and throw the disc. It's in the pilot, very first episode. Before it was cool, And but yeah, there's two bald guys in the room. I'm one of them because they had me shave my head to be the stand-in for Hank, the DEA agent. Oh. And yeah, anyway, it was cool. We were at a party in Walt's house, hung out with those guys day after day in that in the real house and also in the mock-up of the house on the sound stage. So yeah, that was cool.
Sweet.
So that's where my head was, and I swore Sarah was an actress refining her craft, like you suggested on the show the other night. That people would call it. I swore that's what it was. It took me several years I actually ran into her at a city council meeting one time. I was sitting there and I heard this woman speaking, addressing them. And it's like, wait a minute, I know who that is.
Okay, so you can answer the question that apparently is a big topic of discussion in one of the chat rooms. What does Sarah look like?
Sarah is she, like she told you the other day, she's like 5 feet tall, and she's Asian and Hispanic. The Asian is for sure, and I believe she's also that the reason she's in New Mexico is because one of her parents is probably Hispanic and the other one was, Filipino or whatever. I don't know. And she wears her hair. She looks like typical Asian, more Asian than Spanish. And what is she? She's in her 40s maybe. Wears her hair short, not even as long as a bob, but short and a little bit, maybe a little curl to it, whether it's natural or put in. I don't know. Does that kind of sum it up?
I think you've probably made the night for lots of speculators out there.
Yeah, she's got a good heart, but she's just, she'll tell you she's on welfare because she has mental illness. She's on SSI, and so, whatever OCD or whatever she's got is kind of what drives her, and she's trying to do whatever good she can for society to give back for the help that she's getting with living, that she can't hold a job for whatever reasons, but anyhow, that's her situation. And yeah, traffic lights, pedestrians, so on. And recently, listening to your show, I was enlightened that she's expanded her horizons quite a bit into communism and such like that, not just the traffic lights. And
yeah, and she was actually... She was actually about a week ago taking credit for the new fast little choo-choo train going from L.A. to Sacramento.
Yeah.
She was taking credit for that because, she's been calling into talk radio saying that we need this fast choo-choo that is a maglev because it doesn't use electricity.
Yeah.
Even though... the way magnetic levitation trains work is through electricity.
Yeah.
Electricity, yeah. Or wizards. Wizards can levitate them too. I've heard anyway.
I've never heard about actual wizards existing. I know that Vermin Supreme was running on the zombie-powered electricity platform, and that's definitely a clean green energy. But what about wizard energy? Is that a clean green energy?
Well, I don't really know. The only experience I have with wizards is with Sleeve of Wizard, and so that's probably not quite enough. Although that does levitate some things too. Anyhow, if you got that, if you didn't, we'll just forget it.
Yeah, just let's forget that was even said. So, what did you actually call in about tonight, David?
Yeah, what I did call about, and Sarah, no disrespect. But what I called about is because it was a couple things, but because it's right on news today here locally, and it ties into what you're talking about, cops and such. I think you're right on target with percentages as far as who tolerates good stuff or bad stuff and who doesn't, and who and such like that. But the local citizen police oversight board, and I'm sure that's not the correct phraseology, they just sent a formal request today. It was put on the news. That they're reporting APD to the Department of Justice, asking for the DOJ to again investigate APD, and this time it's for the appearance that video evidence from lapel cams and other cams has been edited or disappeared and such like that in a number of different police shooting cases. And so they're formally requesting the DOJ come in and investigate whether that's actually happening, or if, as APD claims, it's not really happening. Things were edited in ways that were allowed for, people's privacy and whatever else. I don't know. So that's one piece of actual formal local news that has to do with what you're talking about. Right. And then I'll just start. We won't have time for all of this, but let me start with this, that I consider myself, well, by definition of the word whistleblower, I meet the definition of whistleblower. For instance, I alluded to this once talking to you. There is a long-time New Mexico judge that I talked to here and talked to here and there occasionally, and he actually said to me, warned me that the whistles that I'm paraphrasing, but the whistle that I'm blowing literally could get me beat up, framed, and even killed. Any of those things were on the table. So, and then another piece of evidence is I've had specifically two lawyers, local lawyers, that went to the local law school and are part of the local bar, and are in the law community. And one said to me in reference to a trial over my children, was that before the trial even started, he warned me ahead of time. He said, David, I just want to give you a heads up, to prepare me that these things are not always decided by the law and the way that it actually should be decided.
Hold your thought, David. Hold your thought. This is Free Talk Live.
You want disruption? You got disruption. Cell 411, the world's most disruptive and empowering app, knows you want ride sharing with payment options for cash, Bitcoin, silver and barter, as well as credit cards. And they know you want more than promises. Cell 411 delivers. The same great emergency management app, now with ride sharing. Freedom to travel is a right. You don't need big business telling you how to do it and taking fees. Go to the App Store now and download Cell 411 and get riding.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
All right, guys, we're ready for our Four Seasons sunroom, and Daddy's gonna get a rec room with refreshments.
Oh no, we'll be sleeping under the stars.
Mom, what about the one with, the fun?
Nice try, little bro. It's a gym. My gym.
Hey, Grandma's getting her Four Seasons garden room. Weather tight and still like being outdoors.
Maybe a living room. Oh no, wait, a family hub.
Yeah! No matter what the budget, the season, or the climate, Four Seasons sunrooms let you and your family enjoy the outdoors inside. Call now to hear more about these great offers from the premier manufacturer of sunrooms since 1975.
4 reasons for 4 seasons now.
To find out more, call toll-free 800-848-6333. That's 800-848-6333.
After years of weekly meetings with his psychologist, local man Chris Vaughn told reporters today he was excited to only have 2 sessions left before completely resolving all of his emotional issues and never having the need to return to another therapy session again.
When I started therapy, I knew if I could make it through exactly 120 50-minute sessions with Dr. Warner, then all of my issues with depression and crippling anxiety would be gone. Next week we're covering my parents. The week after that we're wrapping up my trust issues, and then I should be good to go.
According to Vaughn, it took 40 sessions alone to fully resolve his feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem resulting from an unhappy childhood. Vaughn's therapist, Dr. Susan Warner, told Onion reporters that she's pleased with her patient's progress and relieved that his long-time emotional and cognitive issues are nearly solved for good.
I told him that getting healthy would take at least 100 hours of therapy, and now he'll never have to see me again. Thank God for that. That guy was a real piece of work.
This is the Onion News Network.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. 855 450 free. Possibly time for you and your thoughts if you call in now in the closing moments of Free Talk Live. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we go back to Skype. I tried putting the second person that called on hold and resuming the call with David, but I don't know who I have here on Skype. It's either David or Adam. So whoever I'm speaking with, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, what's up? It's Adam. Thanks so much for taking the call, Darryl. Really appreciate it.
No, you're welcome.
You got your voice back. Almost.
I did. It sounds terrible on my end still.
Yeah, you do sound a little hoarse there. So what's going on? I understand you're in Mexico right now.
Yeah, I'm in Puerto Vallarta with Barry Cooper of Never Get Busted for my first ayahuasca experience. I'm really excited about this. But
are you on ayahuasca right now?
No, but if you want, we can schedule a call in tomorrow when I will be.
Nice.
We can get into it that way. Would that be a first for Free Talk Live? That would be awesome. I'd be totally down.
Possibly.
Although no, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is my very first session. I'm taking this very seriously.
Good.
And
are you on
actually,
any substances right now?
No, I'm not, because I'm getting ready for tomorrow being my first day with ayahuasca, and I take this extremely seriously as a meditative exercise for improving self-awareness. And what I wanted to call about, though, because I understand you haven't gotten into it yet, but we got some really, really good news today for the veterans community, or for anybody who cares about the mental health of humanity, and a slight lessening of the viciousness of the war on some drugs at the behest of some drug companies. And it's that MDMA is in its final, whatever legal hoop it has to clear for getting approved for medical purposes, being made legal for that. And this is something that I've been an advocate of for a long time. And when we have today 22 veterans committing suicide a day, it is really especially offensive that one reason that number is so high is because government makes the best treatments illegal.
Yep.
And we know this from all of the various incentives that the pharmaceutical companies have to keep you sick, to keep you a patient, to keep you as a source of revenue rather than to heal you. And
right, because the healthcare
about
industry, as we mentioned earlier, does not wind up rewarding you for being healthy.
There's no money in it.
They actually reward you for being sick by covering your doctor visits.
Yep. And so with MDMA, we've known this for decades. MDMA started as a therapy drug and government made it illegal.
Can you explain what MDMA is for people that don't know?
Yes. Oh, like you don't know, Heather.
Well,
I was thinking of
probably
the listeners,
does, but-
Adam. At least somebody is.
Right. There are, possibly hundreds of radio stations carrying this show right now, and chances are somebody driving down the highway right now may have heard the word or the letters MDMA.
You might be a veteran that could benefit from MDMA.
But they don't necessarily know what it is.
Yes. Yes, MDMA is known as ecstasy or E or Molly, and it's been used in many ways as a party drug. And I just want to say on my own behalf, for as many drugs as I've done, and it's not that many anyway, but I'm kind of known for it in my activism, having been arrested in marijuana civil disobedience a number of times.
So if we give you a drug
prudent.
test, how many could you identify?
I'm really not that much of an expert. My point is that I'm very prudish about this. Like, I only do things, from a trusted, reliable source in a safe environment and with a clear purpose. And as a big advocate of marijuana legalization, like I've been arrested in civil disobedience a number of times for that, including having gone to jail for a week in Philly. Marijuana is more of a symptomatic treatment for PTSD. Like, yeah, you can use it to control anxiety. You can use it to sleep if that's what helps. You can use it to loosen yourself up if it makes you more comfortable going through talk therapy. But it's the talk therapy that is much more the cure, if you will. Although cure is not even the right word for it, but a way of getting at the heart of the issue. And with the treatment. Thank you. And with MDMA, well, marijuana is symptom treatment, but it's not disease treatment or disorder treatment or the deeper issues of PTSD. Yeah. Right. And with MDMA, you do a limited number of sessions in a controlled environment with a therapist, and it's part of a talk therapy regimen that cures as much as is measurably possible, literally cures PTSD. And it's sick. I mean, I'm a veteran. I was in Fallujah in 2004. I got a little bit of combat experience, but I've seen guys coming back. I ran a peer support group for vets with PTSD. And when I was active with Iraq Veterans Against the War in Washington, D.C., and to know that there were these treatments that were known to humanity and kept from us because of government, because they'd rather keep us sick, is just disgusting. But MDMA, what it does is, from my experience, from a therapeutic understanding, is that it makes you feel much more loving and connected and comfortable talking about like those deeper issues, and it helps you get to a point of self-acceptance and forgiveness, and that's so important for me. And this is one of the reasons I'm pursuing this ayahuasca therapy right now, is because I still carry a certain amount of guilt and shame for what I did when I was in Iraq. I tortured people, and I took a war trophy from someone's body. It was a man who was in a vehicle that got burned, like he got burned alive driving through a checkpoint because a trigger happy Marine thought that his vehicle was a threat. And he burned so bad his skull was peeling off of his brain. Sorry to get gory with that, but I took a little chunk of that. Like that was, and I want my life to be a testament to the evil that government is capable of making well-intentioned people commit, because I went there to help people. And I went there to help the Iraqi people.
Yeah. And I tell you, this is Chris. And I not work with, but I'm involved with a lot of veterans through organizations that I'm involved with. And people talk about things that break their heart, seeing an injured child, seeing a sick child. There are few things that have ever hit me as hard as seeing a 22, 23, 24-year-old kid who's just broken. And that's the only word I can think of to describe that is that soul is almost beyond repair. And it's not always the guys that are in combat. One kid I met and hung out with for quite some time was a mortuary technician, He worked in morgue. He saw the results of war, but he was never in combat or anything like that. But and if there is any chance out there that anything could possibly help these guys that are coming back, we should be pursuing it. We have a moral obligation to pursue it, and we are being heinous should we continue to block these potential passive treatment.
Well, I would just say, stop saying we, because I know you're part of the solution, not part of the problem, Chris.
Yeah, I know, but still I live here. Yeah,
As are you, Adam, and thank you for sharing, that, because there's a lot of people that maybe would refrain from speaking out about these kinds of things, but, you kind of paved the way and give everybody hope.
And whenever I hear anybody talk about war, I'm always reminded of the scene from MASH, the old TV show. The quote, "War isn't hell, war is war, and hell is hell, and of the two, war is a lot worse." And then the priest says, "How do you figure, Hawkeye?" "Easy, Father. Tell me who goes to hell." "Sinners." "Exactly. There are no innocent bystanders in hell. War is chock full of them. Little kids, cripples, old ladies. In fact, except for some of the brass, almost everybody involved is an innocent bystander."
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, Darryl, I want to really, I cannot endorse that, because just like with cops and soldiers as the enforcers of the state, the point of morality, if we understand it from a libertarian perspective, is violating someone's self-ownership, committing that act of aggression. It's not the politicians. It's not the generals. Yes, you can identify them as a root cause in a different way, but if we don't elevate the standard of ethics throughout humanity, there will always be someone who can trick well-intentioned people into doing evil if they don't recognize it, if they don't see it. And that was what I was in the position of when I went to war. I didn't see the inherent evil of it. And the sick thing is that I called myself a libertarian, but I didn't understand it philosophically. I would say I was a political libertarian or a socially liberal, fiscally conservative libertarian.
Adam, thank you for the call. We are out of time for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. Free Talk Live.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.